Would you like to manifest what you want with a spiritual approach? Blair Abee will tell us how to do it. And what's so special about Blair is he is an author, poet, educator, and ordinary mystic. I don't like the word ordinary because I'm sure you're an extraordinary mystic.
We can talk about what that means, but okay.
He's the founder of Energetic Wave Publishing, and he's written 5 best-selling books on Amazon on the subject of meditation, mindfulness, manifestation, and other topics. So tell us, how can entrepreneurs manifest what they want using the spiritual approach?
Manifestation Empress podcast
with Lily Patrascu shares manifestation strategies to live your dream life.
Well, to back up a little bit, what I would say is that I've been doing yoga and studying metaphysics for many years, going back to 1972, actually. And in recent years, I've been interested in manifestation. You know, I saw The Secret. I've read the books. I've read different ways and methods for doing manifestation. But I never really was satisfied with the results. It just seemed somewhat sporadic and didn't work for me. Part of my recent journey has included a breakthrough into making what I call soul contact, or contact with my higher self. And that was really the source of my books, was the soul contact that I made after kind of a tragic situation, and really developing a relationship with that part of myself. I mean, conversational relationship. It really started with journaling and spirit just kind of flowing through, if you will. And so as I, explored manifestation systems, I just said to my higher self, my higher consciousness, can you show me a better way to do manifestation? And that resulted in what I call the best possible outcomes process, which is a spiritual process and a very simple process. Let me just kind of take you through it. So you begin by taking a deep breath, saying to yourself, peace, be still, which is what I like to start all of my meditations with, as a way of settling in, settling down, taking a breath, kind of getting a sense of being in contact with the spiritual side of myself. And then I ask for the best possible outcome for everybody involved as it relates to my need for transportation, let's say. It could be anything, but let's just say transportation. And then pausing and getting a sense that my higher self has kind of kicked in, if you will, or I've made contact with that part of myself. So pausing, getting a sense that the connection has been made, and then following that with a thank you, or thank you for your participation in my life. Now, that sounds simple, but I think it's actually quite complex in a way, or intricate in a way, in that it takes an approach that I haven't heard anybody else take, which is asking higher consciousness, asking soul to be involved in my manifestation process. What I concluded after the study that I did of other systems was that in many cases, they were sort of ego-based. They were based on things like visualization of something, or putting up storyboards. And it was kind of it was almost an attempt to get the universe, if you will, to act on like Santa Claus, like by visualizing something, that BMW will somehow magically appear in your driveway, or a bunch of money will appear in your bank account. And I always thought that was very, very much kind of demanding or asking, and the ego wanting, something, and trying to use some sort of methodology to get the universe to respond. So my system is one of asking for the best possible outcome as it relates to my need for transportation, not trying to get a BMW to appear in my driveway or in my life in some fashion, but for my need for transportation. It might be that what I need is truck rather than a car. Might be that I need, some kind of specialized vehicle. I sort of what I do is leave it up to spirit to respond with that which is the best thing for me as it relates to my transportation, or as it relates to finding a relationship, or as it relates to finding a parking place. It may be that I don't need to park right out in front. It may be that I need to park down the street a little bit in order to walk by a window that has something in it that I need to pay attention to. So it's the best possible outcome, and for everybody involved, not just for me, but for other people that might be involved in my request. And then again, pausing and getting a sense that spirit has engaged, and that I've turned it over to spirit to bring to me, to offer to me, to respond to me in the way that's the best for my spiritual growth and my spiritual evolution. So I'm not dictating, but instead asking. And I'm asking for a best possible outcome, and I'm asking spirit, and I'm turning it over to spirit. And then I'm thanking spirit for its participation, for its engagement in my life, and trusting that a good outcome is going to occur when it needs to occur. It might not even be right away. Might need that it's going to be a little ways down the road, but continuing to trust that, and continuing to allow, and continuing to accept, and continuing to be open to a spiritual outcome.
Thank you. How do you know that method of manifestation works for your highest good? Is it that you just trust that it will, and because of the law of positive expectation, you kind of just end up manifesting that?
Yes, it's the best possible outcome, and it's kind of like what you're saying. What ends up happening is that you then, or even you and your soul, your spirits, are generating or putting out or emitting a vibratory frequency, law of attraction, a vibratory frequency that attracts that which is needed and wanted in that moment. So, the law of attraction is like attracts like. So if you're putting out a request to spirit for the best possible outcome, the likely outcome is going to be a good outcome. The best outcome under the circumstances, again, for what I need and want. So it's that whole idea of, again, the law of attraction is what then draws to you that which is needed, and the universe responds.
Thank you. Now, right now, I'm sitting in the lobby of a hotel. Okay, and
yes.
Wi-Fi in my room. Like, what have I done wrong to manifest what I don't want, for example?
Hard to say. Why what you ended up with wasn't what you wanted. One of the things that you might do is, and I do this frequently, 2 or 3 times a day. As you engage with the hotel, as you take a trip, that you ask for the best possible outcome of this trip that I'm taking, or this day that I'm going to experience, or the sleep that I'm about to go into tonight, the best possible outcome. I mean, it can be little things, it can be larger things, but if what you're doing is, if you have kind of at your fingertips, at the top of your mind, this notion of asking Spirit and engaging Spirit on a daily basis and multiple times per day, you begin to create a bit of a vortex, if you will, around yourself that is more likely to attract good people, things, and circumstances than if you just leave it to chance.
Thank you. So are you saying that basically because I didn't necessarily ask Spirit for
Yes.
good Wi-Fi, that's why technically I don't have it. Had I
Yes.
perhaps asked for it like 3 times a day and been very specific about it in terms of like, okay, make it so that I have good Wi-Fi, and then if not, at least to have the best possible outcome so that I have Wi-Fi in a place near the hotel, and basically to ask for the best possible outcome, and then that could still lead me towards a good experience that I needed to have, for example. Whereas by me like kind of like leaving it to chance, I'm on my own, and the Spirit's not helping me because I didn't ask for help.
Correct.
And how would I ask for help? Is there a specific wording, or is there a specific prayer that I would need to say to connect with Spirit?
Well, now the best possible outcomes process is just that, because what you're starting it off by saying, you're asking Spirit. So you engage with Spirit by asking in Spirit. Now, if you've never engaged with Spirit, well, that's going to be a new experience for you. If you've never engaged with your soul or with your higher self, this may be a new adventure to explore. And that's going to mean perhaps using this process and testing it and trying it out and seeing what happens. But what's even more important than manifesting is making soul contact, contacting or being in touch with that higher part of yourself where is where the magic happens. I mean, we talked about ordinary mystic. I see myself as one who has sought after and found, mystical experience or spiritual experiences. And this breakthrough that I mentioned about 8 years ago, where I began to have a sense of my soul. I mean, I'd been wanting that for many years, but really had never come to a way of breaking into that, or into that part of myself, or becoming acquainted with that part of myself. And then all of a sudden, as a result of the spiritual work that I was doing at the time, deep meditation in response to a kind of traumatic situation, all of a sudden, I began to get this sense as I was journaling, which was my therapy, was doing, sort of a journaling process. Spirit started coming through my fingertips and onto the keyboard, and I began to have this sense of being in contact or being in touch with my higher consciousness or my higher soul. So that's the first thing that you have to kind of let in or allow or become in touch with before you even ask. Because if you're asking, but you don't even, know anything about that, or you don't believe that that's true, it's going to be a little garbled. It's going to take a while for you perhaps to break into that space where you begin to get a sense, that part of myself, who is really who I am, an eternal being, a being of higher consciousness, driving around this biomechanical vehicle that we occupy, not just a human being at the whim of the winds of the fate.
Sorry, how do I connect to my higher self? I've prayed before to connect with my angels, and I
Yes.
regularly pray and ask for guidance from the quorum of archangels, but I have never tried to connect with my higher self. So where would I begin?
Yes. It's the same thing. It's just a matter. It's asking. It's not that different from reaching out to angels or to spiritual teachers, because your soul, your higher self, your higher consciousness is right there. It's always waiting for you to acknowledge it, to ask for it, to come into your life, to open up to it, to allow it. If you don't know, it's as if it doesn't exist. If you begin to know, then it's possible to make that contact. And as you do it, and the more you do it, the more likely you are for that. It's a practice, it's like meditation is a practice or yoga is a practice. Soul contact is a practice. But once you break through, it's almost like, you're trying to ride a bike, and then all of a sudden you're riding a bike, when you were a kid. It's the same sort of thing. You work at it, you practice it, you try it out, see if it works for you, give it enough time and be open to it. My book on meditation, which is called the Meditation Book, has a lot of information about how to make soul contact. My next book is on making soul contact. So it's very much an ongoing part of what I write about, what I teach about, and about who I am.
Thank you. And do you just kind of say, higher self, show up for me now? Or is it that you...
I mean,
meditation to actually for that.
It's better if you meditate. Meditation is the most direct avenue or the most direct path to that, because it gets your ego out of the way. When you meditate, when you get into a state of calmness, when you get into a state of peacefulness, it's much easier to contact that part of yourself than if you're just doing your human life. You're striving, you're stressing, you're dog eat dog kind of world mentality. That's going to be very hard to have that kind of contact. It's really that, because it's a small, quiet voice that comes through, and you have to be quiet enough to hear. You have to be quiet enough to listen in order for that to begin to occur. But it's well worth the effort, because your soul has been waiting for lifetimes for you to acknowledge it and to open up to it and to want to have a relationship with that part of yourself. So it's right there, it's right there. Whenever you start turning in its direction, it's right there available to you.
Thank you. And tell us, what results you notice from the moment that you started engaging with your higher self and with your spirit guides?
I think more than anything, I began to get a sense of almost a download of information. I began to get a sense of relationship to five-dimensional reality, to that invisible part of our existence. Invisible, but very, very tangible and very, very available. And I suspect you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I suspect you are a very spiritual person, and know that by undertaking some practice, whether it's sit-down meditation, whether it's mindfulness meditation, whether it's spiritual manifestation, there are all kinds of practices that people can discover that will work for them. And everybody's path is different. So what's gonna work for you is not necessarily what works for me, but the important part is to engage in the process and to open up and to allow and to be.
Follow me for more manifestation techniques.